Hello and welcome to week 5 of S.P.A.R.K. I am Keely Jones and I am crew leader number 5, and I will be your host this evening for this government breakdown. I will be joined by Chelsea Floyd and Kayla Poe. In an election year, politics are always on people's minds. Sometimes it can be a little more to digest than we really can handle. So we're here to help. So first, what is a government? All types of governments have different purposes, but there are different types of setups for countries with different needs, wants, and desires. In the United States, what we mainly describe our governmental functions as are to protect us through protection of rights and self, to provide in the form of programs that can help improve quality of life, and to maintain our quality of life. We practice democracy in the United States, which in short allows us to vote on representatives. Let's head over on to Chelsea for some more information on that.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Floyd. I am crew leader number 1. So the United States votes elected officials into office, and most times those voted in are from the U.S.'s two main parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. However, there are so many more. These parties were founded on ideologies of how the country should be governed. In 1852, these two-party system really became popular when Franklin Pierce was elected in the 14th president of the United States. Tensions were rising, and there was a great shift going on due to the emerging Civil War. The big shift that we mostly common think of is the realignment of black voters from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party in the late 1920s. What stamped it and made it feel really normal for us was in the 1970s when the executive branch promoted the idea of using political parties to mix political opinion and policy, direct public policy for this realignment. This realignment can be seen happening in response to social movements, cultural movements, and economic development. So now let's take it back to Keely to talk about the judicial branch.
The judicial branch is a circuit made of 9 appointed judges. They interpret laws made by the legislative branch as well as uphold the Constitution. They can also overrule other judges' rulings. Federal judges also serve a lifetime appointment. These are also only federal officials we do not directly vote in. However, they must be cleared by the Senate, which is part of legislative branch.
The executive branch is composed of the president, the vice president, the cabinet, and its agencies. The president can do things like veto bills, appoint federal judges, and they also are elected every 4 years, along with the vice president. The executive branch also carries out and enforces laws. These are really big shoes to fill, as this is the face of the United States during this term. The branches of the House are mostly housed in D.C., where our guest speaker, Ty James, carries out his duty as Congressman Benny G. Thompson's press secretary. Hello, Ty.
Hello.
So can you just introduce yourself for us?
Oh, sure. So my name is Ty James. I'm a native of Columbus, Mississippi. I am a graduate of Mississippi University in 2014 and Mississippi School of Law 17.
All right, so I have a few questions for you, and if you want to just make into a conversation, we can go ahead and have conversations. That way the dialogue is a little bit more interesting. But so my first question is, how did you decide that you wanted to go out of the state instead of helping here in Mississippi?
Well, in my view, I still help Mississippi. I still work for Mississippi. I just work for it in Washington. It was a lifelong dream of mine to always work on Capitol Hill ever since I was a political science student in college. So that was the first thing. Now, I do have a dream and an idea to come back home, but yeah, that's the first.
All right. So what are some of the roles you see daily on the Hill?
Roles as in jobs?
Yes.
Well, of course, you have chief of staff. And you also have a legislative director who formulates legislative priorities for a member, whether it be the Senate or the House. And then you have legislative assistants who have legislative portfolios. I'm one as well. I have 6 in my legislative portfolio. And then you also have press secretaries, communication directors, schedulers, staff assistants, legislative correspondents, which are handle the writing portion of the office, and correspondence to constituents' mail.
Okay. So my next question is, what are some of the things that Congressman Benny Thompson and you oversee and do on the daily?
On the daily basis, Well, daily basis, you take it as it comes. Sometimes it depends on whether or not somebody is having an issue at home that they need to resolve with, or they are having issues with getting in contact with the federal government or a federal government agency, should I say. And we assist with that. But mostly right now has been some kind of way to talk with leadership about some of the issues that coronavirus has presented us with, or exposed, problems that are exposed, especially in Mississippi. One being rural broadband and lack of access to that, and also our failing healthcare system in our district and also our state.
And my last question for you is, what is so different about state, local, and federal government?
What is so different? I think for one, I think most people neglect the importance of state government or local government. I think sometimes the difference is most of the time what we blame on the federal government's inaction is usually because the state government has not acted yet. But what I think is different, one quick way to remember how it's different is, for one, the state government usually is more local and has a greater impact, in my opinion, on citizens. The federal government, most of the time, can't do more than the state has done. Sometimes it can mandate, but I think the state government, really has the greatest impact, in my opinion, for change. Especially in Mississippi. Like, for example, my boss loves to talk about Medicaid expansion, right? The Affordable Care Act provided Medicaid expansion for poor states to receive that money and that care. Mississippi decided not to expand Medicaid. So because Mississippi decided not to expand Medicaid, it wasn't that the federal government didn't provide it, it was that the state didn't allow it. And that was a state government issue, or problem, should I say.
So thank you so much, Ty, for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it. But before we head on over to Kayla, we're going to take a short minute to revisit the video from last week about voting.
Brothers and sisters, do you want to go back? Or do you want to keep America moving forward? I've seen this before. I lived this before. Too many people struggled, suffered, and died to make it possible for every American to exercise their right to vote. We must march to the polls like never, ever before. We must come together and exercise our sacred right. Your vote is precious, almost sacred. It is the most powerful non-violent tool we have to create a more perfect union. We have come too far together to ever turn back.
I think it's our opportunity as younger people to kind of take up what they've left off and do the best we can.
History shows that if we show up to the polls and vote, we have the power to influence outcomes.
I am reminded of all those folks beaten trying to register voters in Mississippi, risked everything so that they could pull that lever. If I hear anybody saying their vote does not matter, that it doesn't matter who we elect, read up on your history. It matters. We've got to get people to vote.
John Lewis and his generation fought for our right to vote. The message for peace, for racial justice, for economic equity, and for all mankind the world over is just as relevant today as it was then. We are in a fight for our future.
We are in a new civil rights movement. The world is changing. Your voice is more important now than ever before. America has come a long way. So many people fought suffered and died for your right to vote. If you are between the ages of 18 and 35, this election is on you. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying so hard to keep you from voting. The time is now. You must vote.
Hey, my name is Kayla and I'm crew leader number 13. In the state of Mississippi, we have our own set of obstacles and solutions. Our state and local officials are very important because they work together to understand the design of Mississippi and its people. At the state level, we have Governor Tate Reeves, who oversees things from a state executive level. Our senators are Roger Wicker and Cindy Hyde-Smith, and our representatives are Benny Thompson, Trent Kelly, Stephen Palazzo, and Michael Guest. We also have more roles in our local cities, counties, and towns. Mayors, aldermen, school board, sheriffs, and judges are just a few to name all who work together to make sure that the state stays together internally. Things like road construction, choices on things like free and reduced lunch, and so much more impacts our daily lives. Let's learn more about our state government. We will now talk with State Representative S.P.A.R.K Taylor.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear? I'm hoping everyone can hear me. I'm your state representative, S.P.A.R.K Taylor in District 38, which also covers Mississippi State University. So I'm proud to have Mississippi State University and the students in my backyard, where I represent you guys and 25,000 other constituents on the state platform. I also bring you greetings from the Mississippi Legislative Black Caucus, where we serve 2.5 million African Americans. And there's an old saying, when it comes to the Black Caucus, we're all you got. So long story short, I'm very thankful to be here and very thankful to answer any questions you may have. I'm tasked with kind of giving you guys an overview of what happens on the state level. On the state level, we have, of course, our governor, our lieutenant governor, Speaker of the House, who's we consider my boss, and he's actually elected. A lot of people don't know this. The Speaker of the House is actually elected by members of the House of Representatives. So the lieutenant governor is elected by the public, and so is the governor. So there are a lot of nuances when it comes to state government. The most important that you may need to know is that state legislators handle the purse. That means we handle funding. We actually get our funding handed down from your local taxes that are passed along to the state. We also get federal money that we handle on a day-to-day basis. So we manage and we control those budget items that affect you the most. So whether it's roads and bridges, whether it's public education, whether it's hospitals, whether it's Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, you name it, there is probably no facet that you could come up with that is not regulated in the House and in the Senate, and also being able to be vetoed by our governor. So I would like to pause for a brief second to ask if you guys have any direct questions. I've seen the overview. The overview was great. One thing that I did like seeing in the overview was John Lewis. John Lewis, I actually got a chance to meet him several times before his passing. And just earlier this year, I got a chance to walk that very famous bridge on his 50th anniversary when we crossed from Selma over the bridge. And I tell you, it was a life-changing event because you got a chance to visualize the struggle and the strife that resulted in our Voting Rights Act of 1965. So if you're on the fence about voting, if you don't know what to do just yet, please stay informed, stay in tune, because this is the most important vote that you probably will have in your lifetime. This vote will determine how you're taxed, how you pay for your student loans, your healthcare situation, your retirement situations, and also what jobs may be available for you when you graduate. So I'd like to pause for a quick second and ask the moderator unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you for that, Representative Taylor. My first question for you is, what got you started in local government?
Well, you know, this is, for me, it's a calling. And I believe that I got that calling when I was probably about 12 years old. I had a relationship with the former state representative, Tyrone Ellis, who had served in that capacity for 38 years. And on his retirement, he tapped me because of a lot of the work that I did in the community to replace him. So I've only had, well, I won't say only, but I've had two endeavors that I wanted to take care of. And one of them was being a judge, sitting on the circuit court or federal level. And also two, state representative following the footsteps of Tyrone Ellis. So and when I say it's a calling, it has to be something that is tied to more than just you. It has to be something bigger than whatever your current ideas and your situations are, because you are affecting the lives of all Mississippians. Your vote can help or hurt. And a lot of times we find that actually happening simultaneously. So you have to be very well read, willing to do the work, willing to interact with people that you may not agree with, but you have to do it in the hopes that you'll make a better Mississippi. And that's why I'm here today.
Thank you for that. My next question for you is going to be, what ways can we get involved in our local government?
Oh, there are tons of ways. And in fact, this is something that actually is a little controversial, but I've been on record saying it over and over again, that every student in Mississippi State should produce a person to be on the Board of Aldermen. Your numbers support it. The students who are enrolled and able to vote in Starkville, the numbers are there, and you guys should have representation. So that's one way, by being on your local Board of Aldermen, having a representative from the university as far as a student is concerned. Also, too, you have your various local and state branches. I take students every year and mentor to them, and they're able to see what happens in the state, at the state capitol when we're in session. You can also join your local NAACP. You can join your Young Democrats Association. Mississippi Votes is another great organization. So Black Votes Matter is a great organization. So there's tons of resources out there, and I'll be putting things in my personal and my political webpage that I also show you in the last few days how you can get involved.
I saw you mention the Board of Aldermen. Can you explain a little bit more about that and other roles in local government, like the sheriff and the mayor, and what exactly they do?
Yeah, sure. And local government is very important. A lot of the tension is, of course, on the federal races, on the presidential race, and things of that nature. But local politics affects you immediately. Sometimes it takes years for federal mandates to be handed down. So with local government being your mayor, your Board of Aldermen, your sheriff, your chief of police, all of these things are actually a reflection of what you want your community to look like. And when I talk about a Mississippi State student being on the Board of Aldermen, that means running for that office and being one of 5 individuals who help shape and navigate what the city of Starkville will look like.
Representative Taylor, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and talk to us. We can see so many ways on how state government impacts us personally.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for joining us today, and we hope you learned a lot from it. Make sure to sign up for a breakout session this week. Meet us back here next week for the S.P.A.R.K Grand Finale.